Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Gemini energy. And we're going to shuffle out these cards and we're going to get some cards out of the Intuit deck. And after we kind of read what's going on in Gemini energy, at the end we're going to ask what could be a possible outcome that people don't see coming, depending on if they harness a more high vibrational Gemini energy or a more worldly or shadowy Gemini energy, because Gemini energy, air sign energy of the mind, is about our dualistic nature and what our truth is. And we have free will. Some people make the free will choice to align with their more hopeful, believing, loving nature. They have hope and faith and belief in love. They want to be in loving relationships, authentically loving relationships. But some other people might decide, I get hurt doing love. I got to be vulnerable. I don't want to do it. And so then they can align with kind of their more emotionally egoic, defensive nature, or they are just more about themselves, or they are more motivated and inspired to look to things to indulge in to make them happy, thinking that's the answer. Just haven't been enlightened to the truth yet that love is what makes it all worthwhile. Or they're sure they make their life about having status or image or power, and that can become like an addiction. Enough is never enough, And it's all about ego and image, because that could be how they define their sense of worth and value, more on those outer superficial things than investing in themselves to be a more loving, compassionate, aligned with their more loving nature. So the whole thing is we can get in some mismatched relationships and it's all to help us get clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't. And so anyway, some people could have people in their life who are aligned with their more hopeful, believing nature. Some people who are more worldly, shadowy, have people in their life that they hang out with that are on the same page as them. And then there's the people who haven't decided yet. And they're kind of going back and forth, still not sure what their truth is. And it's just to listen to our intuition about who's who. We all tap into Gemini energy because it does have to do with what our truth is. So listen to your intuition about where you might be in the story. Listen to your intuition about other people in your life. Okay, from the Intuit deck, we have authority, relocation, impatience. And the reason that came out is because of burdens. So the relocation card reminds me of the Eight of Wands. The authority card is kind of the decisions that we make in life. We are going to make decisions in our life based on what we think is the answer to our problems and aligned with our truth. But we could be kind of immature. We got some lessons to learn, right? Some other people might be getting kind of impatient with some people who are kind of immature. And they might be people who lack self-discipline. They want what they want when they want it. For some, some people are overwhelmed. They just want to feel better. And instead of making inspired decisions, being balanced, losing patience with people in their life who aren't very balanced, high vibe people are going to move on. Other people might give up. I find it too overwhelming. I'm trying to balance out my emotions. I'm trying to wrap my brain around this game of life. I'm trying to make better decisions in my life. But it can be overwhelming for some people, and then they can go back and repeat an old pattern again. And other people can lose patience with people. The difference between this looking like the Eight of Wands and this being like the Ten of Wands, it's that Two of Wands, which is we have a dream. Are we willing to make those decisions to keep moving forward to close out an old cycle? With the burdens card being like the Ten of Wands, the 9 and the 10, is that, we're close to closing out a cycle, but it can feel overwhelming at times. And there might, we need to be patient with ourselves. We can be patient with other people But there comes a time where we've got to see the truth. If other people keep not moving forward, not balancing out their emotions, not making better decisions in their life, again, it can take time to learn lessons. It can take years and decades to learn certain lessons. And sometimes if some people, life is about learning these lessons, about growing up, maturing yourself, healing, tempering your more immature, egoic, prideful, lazy, whatever nature. And some people have already learned those lessons, and those people are moving forward. And, there gets to be a time where it's like, I wish you peace, but I can't keep putting my life on hold, waiting for other people to hold themselves accountable for their actions, right? And if they keep indulging their more fearful or immature or prideful or egotistical or lazy nature, there comes a time where it's like, I am ready to move forward. I wish you peace if it works out and you work through those issues. And at some later date, you might want to communicate with me, just like I might want to communicate with some other people as I move forward in life. There comes a time where people are like, I'm sorry, I've moved on, and I don't want to repeat an old pattern. And if other people are repeating an old pattern of a way of living life, a way of viewing life, that we've already been there and done that, I don't want to hang around people who act like that, or think like that, or talk like that, or live their life like that. It's like, well, you'll get it, and I'm sure you already get it. So, and it'll probably come up more in the reading. So, this is the overarching reason for the reading, the Four of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles can talk about a foundation that we're holding on to. We can have a way of viewing life and how we want to move forward. And at the end here, we have the Page of Wands. In high vibe, I've learned lessons in life. I'm not the same person I was before. The Four of Pentacles comes after the Three of Pentacles. There was a way of operating in the world. I learned some lessons in life. I put in work and effort to deal with the things that overwhelm me, my fear, my insecurity, my past pain and heartbreak. I did do the work to move forward in life and learn those lessons, and I have that hopeful, believing spirit. I'm ready to move forward in life differently. And there can be some people in my life that they want to keep moving forward, maybe being more inspired by the world, indulging their more immature nature. And there comes a time that they're holding on to something else. Like, if, say you wanted someone to go into business with you, you wanted someone to work for you, you wanted someone to be your friend, be in a relationship with you, but they keep holding on to a different job, a different friendship, a different relationship. There comes a time where, we've got to see the truth. If people are motivated and inspired to move forward with us in the way that we want to move forward, in our truth, in what we find emotionally fulfilling and our idea of the dream life, they would. And if they're not, we've got to see the truth that isn't their truth. So what is going on in Gemini energy? We have the Eight of Cups and the Eight of Wands. And I was viewing this card here, the relocation, because the Eight of Wands is Sagittarius energy, which is kind of looking at life as an adventure. In high vibe, it's about learning lessons in life. Some people have decided they do want to be more immature. And, that's what drives and motivates them. So and the Eight of Cups is walking to the Nine of Cups, which can be about indulgence. So the difference between people and some people who could kind of be in a mismatched relationship, high vibe people have a dream, is what the Three of Wands talks about. I want to overcome these obstacles in my life, these things that overwhelm me. I have ran out of patience. I've dragged my fear and my insecurity and my pride and my ego and my lust and my greed and my immature nature has kind of been running my life, maybe, whatever it is. It's overwhelming. And then we become, tired of it. That's kind of like the impatience card. Or I'm ready to offer myself that cup of love. I have a dream. And I'm going to offer myself that cup of love to work through my emotional confusion, my dreams that I might have had and illusions I might have had about life or other people. And I'm inspired to move forward. The Eight of Wands is moving to the Nine of Wands to have maybe better boundaries within myself. I need to learn to love myself and have good boundaries to my own shadow nature. Because if I don't, there's other people who want to be with me and move forward with me in a relationship, but they might be in shadowy energy. And they want me to stay in more shadowy energy. Whatever that is, like, don't change. Let's keep moving forward, indulging our more immature nature, our more worldly nature, our more codependent or lust or greed or whatever, let's keep doing that. And it's like, I might have made a decision to move forward in a job, a friendship, or a relationship, thinking over time that things would change, that, and maybe trying to offer other people love and encouragement for them to work through their own fears or insecurities or defensiveness, or have better boundaries within themselves and to people in their life that they need to have better boundaries with. Because we want to move forward and have this new beginning. Well, if some of the people in our life are on the same page as us, they also, high vibe energy is about being more independent. And the Nine of Cups is about being more emotionally independent from being all about yourself. Because Three of Wands is Aries energy, which is about the self. And we've all got to learn lessons in life to quit indulging ourselves in being immature. But there's some people in the world that are still more about themselves, indulging themselves, and being immature. And we need to see the truth of it. They might want to move forward with you in a workplace, a friendship, or a romantic relationship, but they still want to harness these energies in a more worldly, immature way. And we can love them, and we're trying to offer them love and encouragement to kind of be inspired to have better boundaries, to be more hopeful and believing in themselves and in love. But we can't make other people do that. We can't make people overcome the obstacles that stop them from being more independent, from what manipulates them, working through their fears or their insecurities. We can't make other people offer themselves a cup of love. We can offer people love and inspiration and resources and encouragement. But people have to do this work within themselves. They have to be motivated within themselves to even want to be more emotionally independent from things that manipulate them. Their lust, their greed, their pride, their ego, their defensive nature, other people in their life. And some people are like, no, I don't want to do that, but I want to keep moving forward with you. Let me be in my more shadowy or more immature nature, and let me keep moving forward with you in a relationship. It's like, but I've already been doing that, and I'm running out of patience, and I'm feeling overwhelmed. I am ready to move forward in life differently. Because in the Aquarius star card, I have a dream. I have a dream of moving forward with people who've learned lessons in life, who have that more hopeful, believing spirit. And if that's not you, and maybe they are more caught up in being about themselves, shadowy Aquarius can be like, well, everybody else should put aside their pride and ego in this relationship, but never me. I indulge myself, and I think other people should indulge me. I think I'm a shining star. You should think I'm a shining star. Or I'm more motivated by money and status and image, or full of myself. And other people are like, my dream can't come into reality. As long as this is how you view life, and that's your truth, that's not my truth. High vibe Aquarius energy. I think there's more to life than just being about myself or just being about you or making my life about indulging myself in all these superficial things of the world to look like a shining star in the world. I really want to be in relationships based on truth and love, where people are inspired by more than just being about themselves or their ego or their image or all these things they want to indulge in that they think will make them happy. You know? I've already been there and done that. It's kind of like, you know, that might have been a dream of the way I wanted to live life at one point in time in life. But I'm not the same person that I am now. And again, we could realize that we kind of harness this energy differently, and we didn't know that when we got in certain relationships with people. The Six of Cups. The Six of Cups is Scorpio, emotional and water sign energy. Some people can be very fixed. I have a way of living life, because Scorpio is fixed sign energy. I have a way of viewing life, a way of viewing relationships, a way of conducting myself in workplaces, friendships, and relationships. And that's my idea of the dream relationship, and I don't look at life from any other perspective. I don't look at life from a higher perspective. This is the foundation I operate from. This is how I want to keep moving forward. And some people could find it immature. You could know people that you could feel are kind of more immature. Other people could view you, and you could be in relationship to some other people kind of more immature. And some of the other people that you view as immature have people in their life that they view as more immature. You know, we all have all these different people in our life, right? Shadowy Six of Cups and Scorpio energy could be some people were hiding that they harness their Scorpio energy. They don't have to be a Scorpio sun sign. We harness all the zodiac sign traits and characteristics in either a more high vibrational way, a more worldly way, or a more shadowy way. And some people hide that there's a pattern of the past, a way of living life and viewing life. That's how they want to keep living their life. They can get in new jobs, new friendships, new relationships, but they kind of have this way of viewing life and they don't want to do life differently. That is the foundation, how they view life. It's what they find inspires them, that they enjoy. It's their idea of the dream life. And they like to repeat these certain patterns, like, I don't ever want to step out of my comfort zone. I'm not inspired to do life any differently. And we just need to see the truth of it. If you like to live your life like that, and I've been in a relationship, or I've been at this job, and I realize nothing ever changes here, you know, you keep kind of indulging maybe your more immature way of looking at life, or treating people, or something, I don't want to be here anymore. And there could be some people that are in a mismatched environment, and some of the high vibe people are like, I really don't want to exchange resources emotionally with these people anymore. And one person could want more deep, meaningful relationships. That's like high vibe Scorpio. I want to explore the mysteries of life emotionally. We're emotionally complex human beings. And the high vibe people have hope and faith and belief in love. What is my life if I make my life just more about me and looking like a star in the world, and it's all about my ego and my image, but I'm in relationships with people who aren't very loving? You know, there's that Bible verse they read at weddings. It's 1 Corinthians something, where it's like, if I have all these things but I don't have love, it's like a resounding gong. Some people have learned that lesson. Other people haven't learned that yet. They're still sure, no, 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 no. I am sure if I make my life more about me, and I'm the one kind of indulged in a relationship, I am sure that is the way to go. That will make me happy. Or I am sure if I make my life about having a certain status or image in the world, or money or materialism, that'll be the answer. Then I'll be happy. Other people have already they didn't need to go to the extremes. They just learned as they kind of made things outside of themselves more important than love, they already realized it was kind of shallow, superficial, hollow. And sometimes we get in relationships or something and we move forward with people and we think a dream is going to come into reality, but we don't realize that, you know, we can all have these patterns of way of viewing of how to get along with people, and based on how we've grown up and based on lessons that we've learned, and if we have that more hopeful, believing spirit, if we're willing to learn lessons in life, if we're more prideful or defensive or egotistical or immature, you know, we don't realize that. And it can take time in a relationship to kind of see the truth of kind of what drives and motivates people. So then we come out with the Knight of Swords, which is, I view as Gemini energy, and the King of Swords. Our truth is different, and what we think is just and fair is different. And as we move forward in relationships with people, you know, we have a lot of things to navigate in a relationship. First, do we think we're even compatible at all? You know, are we kind of inspired by the same things? Do we find a lot of things that we find emotionally fulfilling that we agree on? You know, that in a lot of ways, we could have a lot of commonality. You know, I kind of live my life like this and like doing these things, and you kind of like doing those things, versus you like doing these things, I like doing those things. You know, we're looking for people who we think we have a lot of commonality with. And then we can move forward with those people. But someone might like, in more shadowy Scorpio energy emotionally, they might kind of like to keep their more emotional nature, kind of their more deep nature, hidden beneath the surface. I find it confusing. I mean, we are emotionally complex human beings, and we can have a lot of different competing thoughts and feelings at the same time about things. And some people find it confusing, so they could be more inspired. Aquarius energy is also air sign energy of the mind. And anybody can choose to do that, or I just choose to live more from my mind than my heart. I'm kind of tipped out of balance where I could disregard my more emotionally intuitive, you know, just that aspect of myself. I don't think I really need to invest in it and cultivate it. I think maybe I can get by on my charm or my looks, or maybe if I look like a shining star in the world some way. Again, my looks, my status, my image, my power, my assets, male or female, maybe I don't think I really have to do that. You know, thinking people will move forward with me in a relationship anyway. But eventually, if it's a more mismatched relationship, eventually the people who are kind of more motivated and inspired and have that hopeful believing spirit, and they want justice and fairness and balance, and they want to be in relationships with people who are in that energy also, you know, could communicate to the people in their life that kind of really don't want to do a more deep, meaningful relationship, or have this way of living life and they're kind of defensive, harnessing this energy in a more shadowy way. I don't take more creative, inspired action in my life. This is what I want to do. I want to do this. And this is what I've done with other people I've worked with or been in a relationship with. I maybe don't have that more hopeful, believing spirit in myself or in others or in love. So I'm kind of more inspired to be in a relationship, to move forward in relationships, but it's more, you know, so that I look like I have what other people have, but I really kind of align with this more, maybe more inspired by the world, inspired by myself, you know, because high vibe energy is being more independent and realizing the truth in the Knight of Swords, that if we're going to work together with people in relationships and move forward with them, we should the King of Swords, represented by the scales of justice, we should treat other people the way we like to be treated. But there's some people in the world that think, well, can't I be immature? And how about you be just and fair? How about you be motivated and inspired by love? And I don't have to be, and I think that's what's just and fair. And anybody can think any idea in life and relationships is just and fair. I want to be immature. I want to be impulsive. I want to be bossy. I want to be more egotistical and self-centered. I want to be more about me. I'm more caught up about the ego and image of it. We should stay in this relationship. You be just and fair and hopeful and believing and disciplined within yourself to not act like me. And don't you be bossy or controlling or immature or impulsive and reckless and egotistical and self-centered. I've been looking for someone like you. I think that is the answer. I just find someone who's in high vibe. And I try to use my charm and my emotions and my sexuality and my resources all manipulatively to try to get you to view me as being like you. And even if later you come to find out the truth that I'm really not like you, that it's not really love that drives and motivates me, because I might not really want to do love, but I want to maybe stay in it. It makes it look like my dreams have come into reality. It looks like I'm a shining star. Looks like I've moved on. I have someone who's maybe being loving and encouraging and supportive of me. That's just what I wanted. It's just that the loving people in the relationship aren't in a relationship with someone who treats them the way the loving people treat people in a relationship. Because those people have some lessons to learn. They're either more about themselves, or they could view that people get in relationships and stay in relationships because the most important thing is to look like victorious and successful in the world. And in their mind, that could mean just being in a relationship. You know, some people just want to be in a relationship because they think it says something maybe about their worth and value. You know, other people are like, if there isn't someone for me to be in a deep, meaningful relationship with, I'm not going to get in a relationship with someone out of ego or out of lust or greed. I'm a high vibe person. I know my worth and value. And I know I'm an emotionally complex human being. I don't want to get tangled up emotionally with someone that I shouldn't get emotionally tangled up with. So I'm going to stand in my truth, maintain balance within myself, keep moving forward, enjoying my life, communicating and offering love and having fun with the people in my life, friends, family, job, work, whatever. And if I'm single, I want to be available. That if someone comes around who seems to be on the same page as me, I want to be free to be able to get in a relationship with them. Some other people didn't do that. And because they were more tempted, they could have gotten themselves in some relationships that look by worldly standards really great, but it's really kind of more of a superficial, shallow relationship. Isn't really a deep, meaningful relationship. Could even be in relationships with people who are defensive and bossy and controlling, or they're more worldly motivated, they're more immature. But then kind of our pride and ego gets involved, right? To get out of it. And we can all be really tempted to stay in jobs, friendships, and relationships because by worldly standards it looks really good. Are we willing to speak our truth to get the justice we deserve? Or do we think that's just and fair? And some people are like, I'm willing to give up a deep, meaningful relationship. The most important thing to me is to look like a shining star in the world and to have a certain status and image. And if I were to live my authentic life and go get like in the career field and the friendships and the relationships with people that motivate and inspire me, that I love, well, I don't know if I would have that status or their image. That's people who lack some hope and faith in belief in themselves and in their dreams. So they're willing to sacrifice their more moving forward with their more hopeful believing spirit. And they say, nope, you can go. I am going to keep moving forward, thinking in my more immature way of viewing life and aligning with my more worldly nature, that this makes practical, logical sense. I am sure this will work out the way I want. I think they'll find it overwhelming. When you're in a job that you don't love, if you're hanging out with people that are immature, egotistical, bossy, controlling, defensive, it's overwhelming. If you get in a relationship with someone who, where maybe it seems like they like to live more from their mind than their heart, and you're the one putting all the work and effort to kind of maintain balance and creativity and inspiration and love in the relationship, but it's like if you weren't there doing that, that energy wouldn't exist. Well, then it becomes overwhelming too, because it's like, high vibe people can hope other people will change, that they'll work through their defensiveness, their immaturity, look at life from a higher perspective, have more hope and faith and belief in themselves and others and love. But eventually, there comes a time where you run out of patience, where it's like, if we've offered love and encouragement and truth to people and they're not willing to detach from an old way of living life or viewing life, maybe willing to stand up for themselves and have better boundaries within themselves, and how their own shadow nature manipulates them, how the world manipulates them, how other people in their life maybe manipulate them, then we're not on the same page. And high vibe energy is being a leader. Some of the people you would like to be in a relationship with aren't willing to stand up to these things that manipulate them within themselves and friends or family members or the world at large. I am worth more than what I wear and what I drive and blah, blah, blah. But they're not willing to do that. And high vibe energy is being a leader. You have love for those people. I can have love for you. I'm going to stand up for what I believe in. If that's what you want to keep repeating, and, we all have these different people in our life that we can hang out with, and you keep choosing to align with this more worldly, shadowy, yourself, ego, whatever, and the people in your life that are like that, then that's your truth. And I see the truth of it, and I'm moving on. And I'm going to go find people in the world who I think are more aligned with my truth, and you can go find someone else who's more aligned with your truth, or keep hanging out with those people. Find someone else who maybe is more caught up in ego and image or the world, or doesn't want to do love, doesn't want to be in a more deep, meaningful relationship, wants to do what seems more practical and logical. We should be in a relationship. Well, then go be with them. The high vibe people have a dream, and they were willing to move forward in life, detach from certain people. The Six of Cups can represent some people from our past, because you realize your dream can come into reality with them. Your dream can only come into reality with people who are kind of on the same page as you and view life the same way you do. Look at life from the same perspective you do, more aligned with their hopeful, believing, loving nature than their defensive or immature or more focused on the world nature. And I think you've communicated your truth to people in your life as you're moving forward. Some of those people will move forward with you, and they're being authentic. There might be some other people just want to be the next person to indulge in you. They could also be someone who hides that there's issues from their past they haven't dealt with that makes them be defensive to being more hopeful and believing, but they could be kind of immature and want to indulge in a relationship. Don't really want to do a deep, meaningful relationship, but they want to be the next person to indulge in a relationship with you. And I think as you move forward in life and you're communicating your truth to people, maintaining balance within yourself, staying focused on the big picture, keep having that hopeful, believing spirit, people who might approach you from your past, people in your present, people you meet in your future, You're going to speak your truth, and like I'm moving forward. I have no interest in repeating an old pattern of a way of being, living life, or being in relationships. I want to give birth to something new. I have completed a cycle, is what the Ten of Wands talks about. And I want to move forward with people who live life at that kind of phase of life and learn some of the same lessons I did, who are willing to speak their truth, who want to be more just and fair and balanced in a relationship, having that hopeful, believing spirit. And I'm going to listen to my intuition about the different people I meet, communicate my truth, willing to know all sorts of people. You know, there's all sorts of people at work and in our community and neighborhoods and stuff that we know. Am I going to have a new beginning with all those people? No. Can I treat them in a just and fair manner and respect and love and encouragement? Yeah. Am I going to get in a more involved relationship with them? No. Not until only with the people who I think are kind of have learned some of the same lessons I have. Otherwise, you know, you can hang out with people, you can enjoy people's company. Am I going to date you, get more involved? No. I think that would be overwhelming to be in a relationship with someone who totally is kind of lives their life completely different, you know? What drives them, motivates them is different. Their truth is different. How they want to move forward in life is different. What inspires them is different. You know, we're looking for people who are more on the same page as us. So, I think shadowy people, shadowy and worldly people are trying to find people who are more on the same page as them. The only thing is, sometimes more shadowy, worldly people try to create the illusion that they're more high vibrational than they are. Because they like to be in relationships with the loving, nurturing people too. But eventually, the high vibe people in their life are like, I'm ready to move forward in this new way. Are you ready? And that's when they're like, nope, sorry, I really wasn't. I really don't have that more hopeful, believing spirit. I like to do this over and over and over. I think that's just and fair. And that's when they can have some other people move on. And then they have other people who are willing to move forward with them. You know, it just depends on where we're at in life. And high vibe people are communicating their truth to see who wants to move forward with them in this way. And if some of those people do this work within themselves to reconcile themselves with things from their past that could make them defensive to having that more hopeful, believing spirit, they do this work within themselves and then they speak their truth to the people in their life. This is how I'm moving forward. Do you want to, you know, it's kind of like done with the illusion. No more confusing me about the truth. No more trying to tempt me in my lust or my greed or my pride or my ego or using the love that I have for you to manipulate me. It either moves forward in truth and love and just and fair, or this is over. And then I'm going to go find people who are more on the same page as me. So what's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Gemini energy that they might not see coming? So some of you, if you're not, well, it's just basically, you know, in your Gemini nature, if you're more aligned with truth and love and looking at life from a higher perspective, other people kind of like to live more from their mind than their heart. You know, you're just seeing the truth that you're, in your free will nature, what your truth is different. What drives and motivates you is different. The people who harness high vibe Aries, high vibe Aquarius, Pisces, Sagittarius, Gemini, Libra, and all the fire sign energies are aligned with hope and faith and belief. Those people are completing a cycle and moving forward in life differently. Other people, though, they're still more motivated and inspired in all their fire sign energy of Aries, Sagittarius, and Aquarius. And then these other zodiac signs in a more worldly, shadowy way, they're still more motivated and inspired to be more about themselves or the world instead of more motivated and inspired by love. What's coming up for the high vibe people? The Queen of Pentacles. Why? Because of the Queen of Swords. I view the Queen of Swords as Aquarius energy, like the Star card. Because some people, and the Queens can be regarding how we think and feel. Some high vibe people have looked at life from a higher perspective. And they felt betrayed by some of the people that they've been working with in their life. People in the Queen of Pentacles energy that they could have been working with, that they've been loving and encouraging to, people they were married to, people they wanted to marry. And it's like, you know, I just looked at life from a higher perspective, and what I think is just and fair, what motivates and inspires me, how I want to move forward, is different than what you think is just and fair, your idea of the dream life, what motivates and inspires you. And the high vibe people emotionally grew and matured themselves. They learned lessons in life to nurture and love their own more hopeful, believing inner child nature. Before, people could have been a more codependent energy, looking to someone outside of them to love and nurture them. Well, there's always people in the world looking for people who haven't learned to love and nurture and believe in themselves, that are a more codependent energy, because they like being in relationships with people who are more codependent. Good, I can be the boss, right? I'll be like the parent, you be like the child. I'll be like the boss, you be like the employee. I like that you're codependent. I'm glad you haven't learned to love yourself and believe in yourself and believe in your dreams. And some people did that work within themselves to learn to do that within themselves. Got balance within themselves to be willing to stand up for what they believe in. No longer willing to keep indulging people in shadowy energy, or where they're putting in the work and effort to make it a more just and fair and inspired and balanced and loving and nurturing environment, but the other person really doesn't do that. They might have their own things that they contribute to it, but it's not like emotionally investing in it. It's kind of more indulging in it. And then I think as the high vibe people move forward in this energy, people see that you're someone who is taking very emotionally mature, stable, just, fair action in your life. You're not indulging poor behavior in yourself, taking action out of pride and ego and fear and codependency and lust and greed, and you're not indulging other people in that energy. And there's going to be other people in your life who are going to stand up and defend you because they know that's the type of person that you are. And if there's people from the past who might want to come in, they're like, that door's shut. Me and this person, the King of Swords and the Queen of Swords, we're on the same page. And probably in the King and Queen of Pentacles energy, we're on the same page. And it's about truth and love. And I'm going to shut the door on my more immature nature. And I want to be in relationships with other people who have shut the door on their more immature nature. That is not the foundation I am moving forward with anymore. I have hope and faith and belief in myself and in love, and I'm going to keep being loving and encouraging and supportive to myself to stay in that energy. And I only want to be in relationships with other people who are doing that within themselves. I do that with them. They do that with me. And that's how we keep moving forward to bring a dream into reality. So the Queen of Pentacles can represent workplaces, different organizations that you're in, or marriages, because the King and Queen of Pentacles is the only married suit of the deck. So you've either moved on in that type of relationship, or you could be getting in that type of relationship if it's not just getting a different job. But it's aligned with your truth, and you're not going to settle for less. People want to be immature, bossy, controlling, egotistical, self-centered, emotionally shallow, superficial. They got to go find someone else. And some of those people know that. So they're trying to find someone else. to move forward with them the way they want to move forward. What's coming up for some people who harness some more worldly, shadowy Gemini energy that they might not see coming up? The Justice card. Why? Because of the Nine of Pentacles. Well, they think it's just some people that are kind of more worldly, shadowy, they align with their more Virgo view of life in a more shadowy, worldly way, where the other people were willing to learn lessons in life, which is a more high vibrational Virgo energy. But the other people are like, nope, I'm kind of more about myself and the world. And some people just want to go indulge themselves. They want to be single. And if they move forward in a relationship, kind of again giving the impression that a dream is going to come into reality. And then when the people that are in a relationship are ready to have that new beginning, let's really bring that dream into reality. That's when they're like, nope, 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 sorry. I'm going to move on from you because I think it's just and fair to really be more about me. Being immature and indulging myself in relationships. I create the illusion I want to bring that dream into reality. And so long as you buy into the illusion and keep moving forward with me, I'll keep indulging in it because I think it's just and fair because it's really more about me anyway. And when you kind of imply that, you know, you want it to really come into reality to get the justice you deserve, sorry. And it's kind of their way or the highway, you know? And because some people have that viewpoint, or some people are defensive to having that more hopeful, believing spirit, they're always going to have some high vibe people who think it's just and fair for people to become independent of what manipulates them so that they can have this dream come into reality. And if some high vibe people have been offering love and encouragement to some more worldly, shadowy people, eventually they see the truth and they decide to become independent of them. And they move on because they see their dream can't come into reality. If you're not willing to, if you're more motivated by the world, you want to stay maybe single versus getting in a more committed relationship, then go knock your socks off with someone else. I'm going to move forward to find people who do want to be in a more committed, authentic, loving relationship. I no longer just want to indulge in a relationship. I'm ready because it's just superficial and shallow. And some people have seen the truth of it, and they're becoming more independent from their more shadow nature, and other people in their life who wanted them to stay in their more worldly, shadowy nature. And they are going to do this work within themselves to look at life from a higher perspective, detach from the past and maybe this old way of living life, or trying to change other people, which was overwhelming. Stand in their truth. This is how I'm moving forward. Are you coming with or not? No? Okay. I am ready to become independent of you. I have reconciled myself with the truth of this situation. I can love you, you can love me, but the way we want to live our life is completely different. High vibe people can get to a place where they wish people peace. Your truth is different. I can't keep living my life like that. And the other people will probably keep living their life like that. And they'll just go find someone else who will move forward with them and kind of indulge them so long as it looks good for their ego and image. And as long as those people are willing to move forward with them in that way, they'll keep indulging in it. It's just not going to be a relationship based on truth and love. It's more driven by these things of the world. I want to be in a relationship. Lust, greed, pride, ego. It's good for my ego or my image. I have someone to indulge myself in a relationship. But eventually, higher vibe people in their life get tired of it and they move on. So there you go, Gemini. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.